Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Online Business Like a Boss podcast. And this week I'm delighted to be joined by Helen Tudor, who is a LinkedIn strategist and is going to tell us all about how we can generate more leads on LinkedIn. So very excited. I've not had a podcast guest who can talk about LinkedIn yet. So welcome, Helen. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you very much for having me, Kristen. I'm very excited to be here to talk about, the thing is LinkedIn's not the most exciting subject, so hopefully I'm able to jazz it up a little bit and make it a bit interesting for your listeners. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people don't know that much about LinkedIn and the power of it and how we can utilize it in our businesses. So let's get stuck in. But one of the things that I like to ask everyone who comes on the show, because I think it's really interesting to hear the different stories and the iterations of people's journey through entrepreneurship. So can you tell us a little bit more about what inspired you to become an entrepreneur and how you ended up being a LinkedIn?
Yeah, well, it's definitely not something I wanted to be when I grew up, right? So what inspired me to become an entrepreneur was that I was absolutely cripplingly broke. So I was in, when my marriage broke down in 2010, I was in a huge amount of personal debt. And I was a trained reflexologist, and I was sort of doing sessions for money, you know what I mean? So I was working do a session, get £40, buy some food, that kind of stuff. So I remember just thinking, I've got to do something else other than swapping my time for money. So I was just so motivated to get myself out of this hole that I was in financially. There was no way out of it for me other than doing a business, because I've got no real qualifications. Never had a job that paid me over 20 grand. So I was looking at the debt I was in thinking, right, I'm in my 30s. I'm in about 90 grams worth of debt. How am I going to get this sorted? How am I going to get this paid off? And for me, it was I'm just going to have to start a business, an online business, because I was a single mom, my 2 kids under 5. I didn't have any money to invest in anything, and I couldn't get to anything. And it was really the fact that I knew that I liked using social media for my reflexology business. And I thought I could just do this for other people. So I could just do what I do for my business to get clients for my reflexology business. I could do it for other people, and I could do that from home. So that was the plan. And I went home and I was like, right, I need 10 clients, pay me 250 quid a month, make 2.5 grand a month. I'll be rich beyond my wildest dreams. And that's going to be my life now. And the first thing that I found online was business networking. So I was like, how can I find clients online or something? I typed into my computer and it said business networking. So I was great. What's this? And I went and I was like, oh, you have to pay £15, go to a golf club at 6 o'clock in the morning, eat a full cooked breakfast, and you got to stand up and talk. And I was like, I don't want to do any of those things. I've got no money, and I can't get to anything because I've got these kids, and I can't stand up and talk in front of people. It's just out of the realms. And the next thing on that search was LinkedIn. So I thought, oh, what's this? And I set on my LinkedIn as a landing page for my business. I was like, right, I'm going to set my profile up for my ideal clients, and I'm going to tell them exactly what it is that they get. So I was literally my first ever LinkedIn headline was helping small business owners in Warrington, which is where I live, and sell more and look better online using Facebook and Twitter. £250 a month, 10 client spaces available. So I used it as the headline as my pitch, really, and then my profile as a letter to my ideal client. And that was it. Didn't really think much of it. But when I went to connect with all the local business owners I could find in Warrington, it really was literally 24 hours before people started DMing me and saying, oh, this looks great, can I have one of your spaces? And I was like, oh yeah, of course you can. And that was it, really. I started my social media business that way back in 2010. My goodness, seems like a long time ago now. And that was my start in the online business world, really. Running a social media agency that grew, and we scaled that. And it was only really in 2016 when somebody said to me, how are you getting all these clients? And I said, well, they come to me on LinkedIn. And he said, no, that's not how LinkedIn works. What's your DMing strategy? What's your, what you're doing to, what's your outbound strategy? And I was like, I do these 3 things every day. People come to me. I work with all these clients, and that's how my business grows. And he said, you should teach this. And I was like, okay, let's give that a go. So 7 years ago, I started teaching the strategy, and I use that term very loosely because it's, for me, it was obvious. the strategy that I started teaching that 7 years ago. And that's been the journey ever since, really, into like the real online world, really, of building a community, building an audience, having a group program, doing launches, 5-day challenges, and, investing in ads and speaking on stages and all of the, tick, 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 all the online sort of stuff that I kind of looked at the online space and I thought, right, these are the things that I should be doing. And I just did all of the things, really. So that's been the last 7 years. Obviously, I've been through lockdown since. I've met my husband, got married, blended in my family. So loads of things have happened in that last 7 years, but it's been a wild ride for sure. But I definitely set out on my entrepreneurship journey to make a couple of grand a month. I definitely didn't set out to make like a couple of £1,000,000. It was just kind of like, it just happened over the years of doing all the things. That's kind of where I am now.
Amazing. I think like LinkedIn can be quite an underrated platform, and people think that maybe it's corporate and it's for people who have like banking jobs or financy sort of jobs that want to connect and find their peers in that industry. But from your experience, what kind of businesses are on LinkedIn and what kind of businesses should be on LinkedIn?
So I think the biggest opportunity LinkedIn offers you as a business owner is the belief that other people have about it. Because so many people, so when I stand on a stage or I'm doing a live and I'll say, how does LinkedIn make you feel? Everybody said, well, not everybody, but lots of people say, it's not for me. It's not right. It's not for my business. It's for the old corporate version of me, or it's where corporate people hang out. It's not for my type of business. It's not for small business, not for local business, not for product business. All of those beliefs are the big opportunity, because if you look at actually LinkedIn for what it is, it's not a social media platform. LinkedIn has only one job, and that is to bring buyer and supplier together, because it was invented to bring job and candidate together, right, as a recruitment platform. And since then, it's been adopted by businesses. And it's just, if you look at it for what it is, it's just a huge, vast, in fact, the biggest database of people on the planet. And it's all searchable by job title and area and various other things, which if you look at it as that from a pure marketing opportunity, it's like, it just makes sense to me that this is where I think there's 900 million to 1 billion people registered on there. They're not all active. Like, if you want to connect with people, you think of the basic of marketing is to get in front of new people every day who don't know about your product or service, who may have a need for it. It's just about finding people who've got the problems that your product or service can fix, right? Where better to hang out where all of these people are, where you can proactively build an audience of people based on job title, which also is related to their income. So what I say to people who say, well, it's not for me because I'm a life coach, for example. I sell something that's in someone's hearts and minds. I don't sell B2B. I'm like, do you know how many people there are on LinkedIn sat right now in a job they hate, in a relationship they hate, desperately waiting for somebody to come along and help them with their life transformation? It's like the best place to find people who are looking for something, And because my strategy is all about inbound, and I'm sure we'll talk about that, you're not DMing everyone you meet on LinkedIn and saying, like, do you want to leave your husband, or do you want to lose 20 pounds, or do you want to change your life? Because that would be insanity, right? You might get somebody who goes, you know what, you're right, I do. But because we are it's an attraction strategy, so we're magnetizing clients to us through our content, but you've got to build an audience first. So if you build an audience, in my life coach analogy, say you're a life coach, transformational life coach, you build an audience of tens of thousands of people with money. So people in director level roles, people in like certain level areas of the country, for example, or whatever you decide. Like, I'm just going to build an audience of people we've got good income. And then you position yourself as the go-to transformational life coach, either in their area or for people who are in high stress jobs or whatever you decide. Then over time, people are going to follow you, watch your stuff. They're not going to comment on your stuff. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, I hate my life. But they are going to follow you and reach out to you when they're ready. And that's what my stuff's all about. It's about positioning yourself so that when they're ready, they know that you're the person who can fix the problem, and then they'll come to you. So what I would say is, I've been doing this particular part of my business for 7 years, and I've never once met somebody who LinkedIn's not right for.
And how does someone adapt their approach to their content? You know, if they're on Instagram or they're on Facebook at the moment and they are doing that more kind of informal and lots of reels and videos, do they need
Yeah.
to adopt their content and change their content format for LinkedIn?
Again, I think this is one of the big myths about LinkedIn, is that you have to be a certain way on LinkedIn. You have to create a certain type of content for LinkedIn. If anything, I would say that your content should be so authentic that it should go on every platform. So, for example, I posted yesterday about my husband being a good gig husband, because the first gig we'd been to and didn't know how he was going to perform as a gig husband, but he was great. He's not really into music, he's into sport. So like all week I've been like, oh, don't be, make sure you like, I really want to, I love gigs. So I'm like, I'm so excited about going to see James Arthur. Like, you're not going to be a pain, are you? You're not going to be like, not, and he was just like, it's going to be fine. And I did a post saying he was a great gig husband. He got me there safe and sound. He did moan about the VIP and the toilets and the beer prices, but he danced at the dancey bits, he sang at the sangy bits, and he hugged me at the sad bits. And I was like, and then he got me home safely, bought me a hoodie and got me a kebab. So, tip. So I posted that on Facebook and a picture of us at the gig, and I just copied and pasted it to LinkedIn, right? Because to me, that's just my social media across the board is just an extension of me. It's literally just documenting who I am, what I'm about, how I help people, who I am. That's it. There's not really I don't really have a content strategy. I have this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. I document my life on socials. And so for me, Facebook and LinkedIn is exactly the same. So if you're doing loads of reels and you love doing reels, you can use video on LinkedIn. I've actually heard that they're bringing out a short form video feed on LinkedIn. But reels work, videos work, long form video works. You can do live video. Like wherever you're creating content, just repurpose it over to LinkedIn. Now, there used to be a belief that, people would come along and say, this isn't Facebook, you can't post that here. But honestly, that's very rare. Maybe 10 years ago, you used to get that a lot. But I think now the LinkedIn police have given up and just realised that people can post whatever the hell they want. It's their own personal profile. So you can post what you want on LinkedIn, business stuff, personal stuff, anything that gets people to understand who you are, what you're about, how they can buy from you, and how much you charge and how they get it. Simple as that.
And what kind of results are your clients seeing when they start using LinkedIn?
Well, the main feedback I get is that they sort of fall in love with LinkedIn. So they have a relationship with LinkedIn that goes from like, I don't really like it, I don't really understand it, I don't feel right on it, to like, oh, this is actually fine. It's just, I can just show up on there. There's some really cool people on there. I'm growing my audience on there. People are pretty sound on there. There's not, people seem to, and then the feedback I get is they're like, oh, I'm just really enjoying being on there. I'm spending, it's kind of like the first place I go, whereas I used to automatically go to Facebook or Instagram, because I know that's really where I'm getting results for my business. And the results in terms of like the absolute non-negotiable results that all my clients get is they get leads on LinkedIn. So people are DMing them saying, oh, hi, I've been following you for a while. Like, can you tell me more about this product or service? Or hiya, just to let you know, I've just joined you or whatever. Or they're signing up to their lead magnets. They're coming to their events. They're sending messages asking for quotes. So like they're getting that solid ROI where they can say, yeah, I wasn't doing much on LinkedIn. Now I'm doing what Helen tells me. This is the result. I've got cold evidence that people have found me that didn't know about me before and are now buying from me. So yeah, they're out there and they always say like, it's just a really easy place to do business because that's what it's designed for. So I love Facebook. I'm terrible at Instagram. I've got like 10,000 followers, like over 7 years. That's how terrible I am at it. But like, I love Facebook and that's kind of always my primary kind of go-to because I'm at my age really. But like, it's like Facebook, I get loads of business from Facebook, but it seems to be like a longer cycle. They sort of follow me. It's like, I did a mastermind day at mine yesterday, 5 people. And like, I was like, oh, someone said that I've been following you for 6 years and I've had a million touch points and now I'm here. So 6 years, 1 million touch points, invested in coming to my house, right? But like, I've literally just signed up a platinum client, which is my top level. And I didn't sign him up, my sales team did. And as Natalie just voice noted me and said, she found you last week. So it's in my top level. She found you last week. She did your challenge. She looked at the sales page and she doesn't want the group. She wants the group program, but she wants the one-to-one at the top. and LinkedIn just seems to be very much more open wallet, let's just get this done. I attract a lot of what I call corporate leavers. So people that have had a really good job, they've had something happen to them. So it could be something in the health, something in the business, like in the job, that something's happened. They've had usually some kind of trauma or burnout. They've had their own recovery. And then they've decided, I don't want to go back to my corporate life. I want to, go and help other people like me. So they normally retrain as like some kind of coach, therapist, health, whatever it is that they've been through, they kind of retrain, which is how I became a reflexologist, to be honest, because it really helped me. And then I trained in it. It's very common. But those people who have had a job before, like a really good job, like a 6-figure salary or whatever, they then go back to LinkedIn and really get great results because they find me on LinkedIn. They're like, oh, this person can really help me understand LinkedIn. Now I need to use it for a different way, because they've used it before for their job, but now they need to use it for their business. So when you use something for a job, it's like you're almost hiding behind your corporate identity. But when you're using it for your own business, it's like people feel very vulnerable and exposed. So I really help people like that get over some of the mindset stuff with LinkedIn and the worry about what people will think, as well as the strategy. Because the strategy is one part, and my strategy is super simple. It's literally 3 things to do every day, get in and out, get it done in 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But the reason why people don't do it is because of the mindset, because they worry about what people will think, whether they're doing it right, whether, what people looking in will think. And the answer to that is usually they're not thinking about you at all. So I think there's definitely 2 elements to the LinkedIn stuff. The strategy, yeah, which I think I keep super, super simple, because the thing I see with LinkedIn stuff is people make it really complicated, and it doesn't need to be. It's just a basic marketing platform. How can we get more profile views is basically the premise of it. And a lot of people ask me really sort of specific, what I call like the 10% tweet questions. So they'll say like, what time should I post? How long should my post be? How long should my videos be? Should I be using hashtags? Should I use an image? No, it's almost like none of that matters until you're doing the basics consistently, growing your audience, engaging with your audience, putting out content for your audience. Honestly, those little 10% tweaks, by the time you've got good at doing the basics, you won't need them. You won't care, because you'll just be getting leads anyway, so you won't need to. So it's interesting that the questions I get asked are always about those kind of micro tweaks instead of like the big picture stuff that I teach. Yeah.
And what tools are available on LinkedIn? So I know that there's a long form, like you can have a newsletter, but what are some of the new functionality that they have?
Well, this is the thing. You see, with LinkedIn, what they tend to do is bring stuff out and then take it away. So they'll bring something out and everyone will be like, get on it, and then they'll take it away and we can't have it anymore. So it's a bit of a funny one, really, as in like trends on LinkedIn. But the things that I've seen recently, which I think are really good, because there's lots of things on LinkedIn that I think are really bad. Like company pages, don't get it. You can't do anything with them. So they just sit there. Groups, I think, terrible. They should be great, but they're just some reason awful. The engagement's terrible in them. Like there's some horrible things on LinkedIn, like automation and like this software you can get that like ask people to connect with you and DMs people and that, which is just gross. And things like engagement pods, and we're all like, there's loads of bad things on LinkedIn. But the good things that I've seen recently are polls. So polls on LinkedIn are fantastic, really, really good. I did a whole session in my mastermind about polls, because you can use the poll function to ask really important questions. So you can use it for like research. So I'm thinking about doing a webinar. These are the 3 titles. Which do you think? Right. So you can do it like that way to do audience research, and then follow up with, you said you'd be interested if I did this one. Here's the link, right? So that's the only time I really do DMing on LinkedIn, is if somebody's answered a poll. Or you can do like what I call like a down and dirty lead gen poll. So I could do something like, if you wanted to learn how to get leads from LinkedIn using my strategy, what would be your preferred method? Would it be a group program? Would it be one-to-one? Would it be like in person? Maybe just ask 3 questions of things that I do. VIP day, and I put the prices on. So I'd be like, would you prefer group program, $3,000, one-to-one, $2,000 session, or VIP day, $7,500 for the day? And then if people click on it, then we follow them up. Be like, oh, hey, you said you might be interested in a VIP day. Like, so for me, polls are really, really good. And also fun polls I do as well. So like, I don't know, who's going to be the next England manager? Is it Jurgen Klopp? Is it, whatever? Is it Kermit the Frog? I don't know. So just people are like, just a generalized engagement poll can work really well. And I don't follow those up. So I think polls are really good. The other thing that I'm really excited about, and I know it's been out for a while, but I couldn't find it. They've changed the app again, which is also annoying. I couldn't find it the other day, but anyway, my VA said it's still there. Don't panic. Is LinkedIn audio events. So remember Clubhouse? So I really loved Clubhouse. I really got into it, and that's where all my Instagram followers came from. But on Clubhouse, people were naturally like, they were really good, and the rooms were really good, and then people would follow you on Instagram. Whereas with LinkedIn, they've done audio rooms, so you can set up audio rooms exactly like we did on Clubhouse. You can have guest speakers, you can bring people onto the stage, but the people on there are on LinkedIn. So when you click on the little circles, it'll take you to their LinkedIn profile. So I thought this was really, really clever. Now, I've not done anything with it particularly. Like, I've done one room, I've been in one room, but I think it's going to be a really, really, really strong strategy to get more people listening to your stuff and get more followers and get the right type of followers as well. So I think that's pretty cool. And LinkedIn events are really good as well, because you can search and ask to connect, invite people to it by sector. So I did one about LinkedIn for sales professionals, for example, and then everyone who's in sales, I could just go through and invite them. So on events, I think you can invite 1,000 people a week. So that's a lot of people. You can invite them in, send them a DM, and you can then follow up people who said they're coming and attending and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty cool. Newsletters, I think, again, were good when they started, and everyone set one up and everyone subscribed, and I don't know whether people read them or not now. We'll see. But I do believe that there is a LinkedIn Shorts video feed coming. So watch that space. I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll see.
Amazing. And so I was wondering if you could explain the difference for those who aren't aware between outbound and inbound, and do both of them work?
So absolutely both of them work. So inbound is where we are positioning ourselves as a go-to expert. We are executing a strategy that does not involve DMing people as a general rule. Yeah. Outbound tends to be, position ourselves as an expert, but then sending people private messages to build relationships and invite them to things, or ask them to, see if they want to buy from us and build, So the DMing strategy was always very much connect with people, then, build a relationship, ask them how they are, ask a few questions, see if you can find some problems, position yourself as an expert, give them some value, and then invite them to a call. Does it work? Of course it works. Otherwise people wouldn't do it. But so does standing outside of Asda and asking people who've got Sky TV. Eventually you'll find somebody who does. But when you stand outside of Asda and ask everyone who's leaving the shop who is not interested in Sky TV, if they've got Sky TV, there's a few things that are going to happen to you outside that shop. People are going to ignore you, off the main. Some people are going to be rude and abusive to you. And most people are just going to be annoyed with you. Yeah. It's going to create an emotion. And what it's going to do for you standing out the shop, it's going to make you feel really rejected. And it's going to make you feel like it's a hard slog that, it's hard. You've got to be a certain kind of person to be able to withstand being ignored, being rejected, and being abused all day. And that is what happens when you DM on LinkedIn. People do not like getting DM'd because they are minding their own business. You're going into their personal space. They have not interacted with you apart from to maybe connect with you. And when you start trying to push people into buying from you or even getting to know you, it's the energy is very, very different. But of course, you can get the right person at the right time. Yeah. And then it feels great. Same as if you stood outside of Asda, you're like, yes, I found somebody who hasn't got Sky TV. I've signed them up on the spot. I get my commission. Fantastic. So it's like, it depends on the type of person you are. Now, the type of person I am is I'm very sensitive and I'm very emotional. So I have tried DMing early on in my LinkedIn sort of journey, and I really did not enjoy that energy of constantly reaching out to people and being ignored, knowing that they were getting frustrated and occasionally getting blocked or disconnected or getting some abuse back. Right. So if you are very resilient and you're happy to do that, then go for it. You send 100 messages, 99 people will never want to work with you and be really annoyed with you, but one person might say yeah. So if you fine, go for it. I am all about how can we get the maximum return on the minimum time and energy invested. So my energy is very much, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how you can buy from me. When you're ready, I'm not going anywhere, you know, I'm consistent, I show up, I've been consistent for years, and I'm not trying to force anybody to buy from me. In fact, I don't want everybody to buy from me. I only want people to buy from me who are like excited to buy from me, who want to buy from me, who have like been following me and ready to buy from me. So when they DM me and say like, let's do this, it's like, it's a great energy. It's just like me saying, yeah, let's do it. So I don't really like the energy of selling to people. I like the energy of people wanting to buy from me. So it's definitely a personal choice. My way is a longer game. You know, it is a longer game. If you use, you know, you can hire an agency who will set up loads of burner accounts that you're not worried about losing. And it will, you know, they'll set all the automation software up and running, and it will DM hundreds of thousands of people, and you will get appointments booked. When you get onto those appointments, they may or may not want to speak to you, or they may or not show up, but it absolutely does work. But it's a very, very different strategy. I'm about building a personal brand that people are attracted to and want to come to. So there's just two ways of using it, and that's fine. And we can rub along happily together, you know.
So you talked a bit about your strategy, your simple strategy, a few things to do every day to get these inbound leads into your business via LinkedIn. Can you tell us a bit more about what you teach your clients?
Yeah, so certainly it is all about, well, the first thing with my stuff is to set it up so it's all for your ideal client. It's all written for your ideal client. So there's a headline and profile that talks to your ideal client and doesn't talk about you all the time. I think that's the thing we see a lot. It's like, I'm great. I've got, you know, multi-award winning entrepreneur. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. It's like, no one cares. Yeah. Until they're about ready to buy, then the authority piece is important. So headline and profile, it's all about your ideal client. It's really a love letter to them that really shows that you know who they are, you know how they feel, you know what they want, and you've got a solution for that. And it's also really clear. This is what it is. This is how you get it. This is how much it is. You know, not really. I'm really into radical honesty. And then the 3 things to do every day to get more profile views is add people every day. So go and ask to connect with 10 to 15 people a day. You don't need to write a personalized connection request. Just ask them to connect. Your headline will do the rest. So that's number 1. Number 2 is to engage every day. So put comments, read through the people that are in your feed. Don't have to be connections, don't have to be ideal clients. Go through your feed and read the posts and give the people who've written the post what they want, which is to feel seen, heard, and validated. So just support whatever they're promoting or support whatever they're talking about, and just make them feel good, and more people will see your headline that way. And then the third thing is to put out content every day. So content for me is just showing people who you are and what you're about. So story posts, as I call them, which is a bit out of date now because we've got obviously Instagram stories and Facebook stories. But anyway, I call them story posts, and it just tells a story about who you are and what you're about. It could just literally be, I'm doing this thing today. Here I am doing this thing today. Or, I was on Kristen's podcast today. Or, I took the dog out today. It doesn't really matter, but it's something that just tells people who you are and what you're about. Video, great content for LinkedIn. The more video we do, the more money we make usually. Again, can be live, can be long, can be short. I don't mind, but it's like a moving 4D HD version of you. Again, lets people get to know us and to see if they like us or not, right? Because video can be very polarizing. Some people will watch me on video and be like, like out of every 10 people, one person's like, oh my God, this woman's amazing. Thinks she's great. I'm going to join all the things and buy all the stuff. One person will be like, this woman is insane. I don't want anything to do with her and I never want to see her again. And most people are somewhere in the middle. But it's the video that really polarizes people like that, because it's just like meeting someone in person. You can feel the energy much more. So a lot of people don't want to do video, but I think I've been doing this for 7 years. 7 years ago, people just did not want to do video at all. Like, they were frightened to death. I think now people are much more comfortable with it generally, which is good. And then the other types of posts I like to see, so social proof. So lots of posts about other people have done the thing that they, that your audience might be thinking of doing. We know this to be true, helps people trust whether we are who we say we are, we can do what we can do. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect, just screenshots of nice things people have said about you. And then finally, call to action posts. So really short, to the point posts that say exactly what you're offering, how people can get it, how much it is. Because I think people want to be reminded or need to be reminded how they can buy from you. So it's all very well building a personal brand, but we've also got to sell to people as well, because that's what makes the time worthwhile. So you don't have to post all the time, you don't have to post multiple times a day. But I personally, if I'm in launch mode or if I'm trying to, I'm actively trying to attract clients, I normally post those 4 types of posts a day. So like, I maybe update what I'm doing, maybe do a short video, put out some social proof, and put out an offer of some kind every day. And all of those 3 things can be done in half an hour. And get on with your day.
That sounds great. So how can people who need more support with this, what sort of programs and offers do you have available that people can come in and start getting this support and learning about how to run their LinkedIn strategies?
So the main way most people come into my world is through a 5-day challenge. So I run free 5-day challenges on how to get leads from LinkedIn regularly. So we've done 6, we will have done 6 this year, probably do 4 next year, but there's always a 5-day challenge coming up. And you can also buy a recording of a 5-day challenge, if that makes sense. So what the 5-day challenge is like, it's free, it's completely free, it's free training. You just show up every day, you get a different task every day, and I do a live with wine every evening. So I do a live, get dressed up, drink wine, do a Q&A. It's silly, but it's a lot of fun. And we get thousands of people doing that. It's great. It's a really good energy. So 5-day challenge is nearly almost always coming up. And then I've got the LinkedIn and Business Mastermind. So that's my main flagship group program. Been going for 7 years. It's got 2,000 people in it. It's for me, it's the best place to hang out on the internet. So that's really where most people start, because that's like lifetime access. So once you join that, you're just in it forever. It's just a one payment. It's not a membership. It's a one investment, and then you're in forever. And then some people don't want a group program, so they might want to work with me privately. That is super, super limited, obviously, because I'm really busy. That's not true. I'm not really busy. I just don't like working a lot. So I do VIP days is the main way. If someone's like, I just want to work with Helen and get it all done, I normally do it all in a day. That's like $7,500, and we just get it all mapped out wherever you are. We just meet where you are, or you can come up to mine, and we just get it all done top to bottom. Ideal client work, sort out your offers, your pricing, your positioning, get your LinkedIn set up, ready to go. So that's really the main sort of VIP offer for people who are like, don't want to do the group program, but do want to get all of the goodness all in one day.
Sounds amazing. I'll put the links below in the show notes if you want to join the challenge or find out more about the Mastermind program. So what would you leave our listeners with as like a last bit of advice or tip or words of encouragement?
Yes, I would strongly advise that they go and dust off their LinkedIn profiles and set up a new headline and profile that talks to their new ideal client. And then just every day, just do those 3 things every day. Don't overthink it. Don't try and be good at it. It doesn't have to be great. Just has to be average at best. Just show up, be yourself, be consistent. And honestly, it'll change your life, change my life. It absolutely transformed my life. And, I've got over 4,000 testimonials. These are people that aren't always paying clients. They maybe just hear a podcast, or they see me as a guest expert, or they see me on stage, or they come to a challenge and they just take this exact advice I've just given you, and they just say, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. And they do it, and they don't overthink it, and they don't go for perfection. They just go for progress. And they're the people that message me or send me a DM and say, can't believe it. I've been on Facebook for years and I hardly get any clients. And then I've done what you told me to do. And I've got this great client, or I've signed up all these people to my thing. So, if you don't believe what I'm saying, then just do it anyway. And then you can either be right or you can be rich. You can't lose.
Sounds great. I'm off to dust off my LinkedIn profile now.
Just do. Yeah, exactly. And interestingly, podcast hosts normally get the best results, because they interview me, and then they go, oh yeah, this is actually quite useful. I'm going to go and do it. So I was on one about a month ago, and he was like, Helen, this is amazing. I was like, I told you. So yeah, please do. Kristen,
I will, absolutely. So thank you so much for being on the show. I found it really, really useful, brilliant, actionable advice that I think everyone who's listening could go and take forward and get some real results with. So thank you very much for sharing.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. Thanks.
And thank you for listening.